clear up the drawings. Data's good? No? Refresh. Things working. Let's see. Making sure everything is good. Looks all right. Okay. Cool. Throw the Tradecaster information over in YouTube. If you are on YouTube, head over to tradecaster.com. In a bar. Oh, my sound is all the way down. That doesn't help. Kind of want that. There. Okay. Testing sound. Good. All right. Streaming takes some setup. I had to drop my son off at school, so now I'm back. Just getting everything squared away. Trader TV in the background.
User adoption. So.
Okay, let's see. Trade. JPOW starts talking at 9 a.m. Central Time. His testimony is going to move the market some here and there. I expect to hear some sort of economy is strong, yada 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 kind of deal. We are closely watching the rates, you know, all that fun stuff. Just going to be mindful of all of that. I think this is a key level here, not just from the overnight, but from previous structure. These levels here were very important. I'm going to put it all the way up into that level there. Ray, cool. That goes away. Okay. S&Ps pushed up pretty high. We're pushing right up into the opening range from yesterday, which is kind of nuts to think about how far down we were on the not on the close, but prior to close, right, all the way down into here. Close, delete those. Too many executions yesterday. Alrighty, we were all the way down here up until 2:30, and then we rallied all overnight, sort of clearing out that whole push to the downside. We did give up. So this is the S&Ps here. We flushed this high here sometime yesterday early, 7:30, 8:30 on the open, and then rallied all the way down right to the bottom end of this support, caught the bottom end of that support there, and now we are pushing back up into where we rallied on Friday, that beginning part, and then that high right there. So if we push back up into here, this is that previous swing high. We're going to be very mindful of that 51.2350, and we can use these S&P levels to kind of help aid our movements on the NASDAQ, because the S&P does like to kind of move on a dime. It respects its levels a lot more. This is our 30-minute NQ. As you can see, we're kind of right at that same area, a little bit shy of the previous swing high. That previous swing high there is 18,146. So this basically yesterday's opening range, right? We had that breakdown point right here at the bottom, 18,106. We have reclaimed 18,000. 18,000's been like that key marker over the past few weeks, right? You can see it. It came into play a bunch, pretty much the whole entire final week of February from the 21st all the way through. Even prior, the 16th. We had it over here on the 9th as well. So, it's been coming into play, coming out. But you can see it doesn't like magically hold that level every single time, but it likes to get drawn right to it. It was a magnet for a lot of good trades. So it's fine to see. Could have been up nice this morning. I had a long overnight that I took. It was decent because I took it from the breakout to 18,000, but as you can see, we really rallied post 18,000. I'm gonna leave that there because I like that just to remember. But we do have this 30-minute trend line that's really holding up since yesterday and into the overnight. I want to see if it'll stay respected or if it's going to break down at all on the 30-minute. I'm going to use that as the level. All right. So our 30-minute set, you can see our overhead target, or not really target, but that first level for the NASDAQ is going to be anywhere between that 113 to 145.50. Right now we're sitting at 18,094. We wicked up to 102. That 113, right, is that very bottom of that opening range low yesterday. Is no coincidence. That's 113 right there. And then, like I said, the top end of that is 145. Also no coincidence. It's kind of close to that area, that value, that opening range high from yesterday. So we're going to be mindful of that's going to disappear once the new opening range starts. But we're just going to be mindful of those levels, that 113 and a quarter. Obviously, you can see here is that breakdown point as well, 113 quarters. Then we have 125, 145, up into that 162.75. That 162.75 really is that huge breakout there on Friday. That big breakout, we pushed above there, and you never really look back at all coming out through it. We really blew right through that level. But then when you come back down, it acts as a little bit of resistance, comes back up, peaks back above, and then dumps down as soon as we came right down below it. So the ultimate real test is going to be that 162.75. You do have Jerome Powell talking here at 9 a.m. Central. He is going to be talking to Congress, so I'm going to just read to you what the trading economics description is of this event. Right, the benchmark interest rate in the U.S. is 5.5%. The Fed fund rate is likely at its peak for the tightening cycle and will likely be appropriate to begin dialing back policy restraint at some point this year. Although only when there is a greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably toward 2%, prepared remarks from Fed Chair Powell for his semi-annual monetary policy report to Congress showed. Powell reinforced that the economic outlook is uncertain and ongoing progress toward the 2% inflation objective is not assured, and there is risks of reducing policy restraint either too soon or too late. As a result, the Fed will continue to assess the incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks to make any adjustments to the Fed fund rate on the economic front. Powell noted that labor market tightness has eased and the inflation has diminished substantially, although it remains above the target. I'm fairly certain that's from the last meeting, right? So that's where we're at right now with the Fed funds rate, 5.5%. We are going to be looking to see if he's going to say the same thing as this, or if he starts to talk about cuts sooner rather than later. Because if we get those sooner rather than later talks, that's when you're going to start to see this market continue to push that rally up higher, push that high, and continue to move on up. However, if you do start to see, if he does start talking about anything else where it's, I think that we're too high, we're, everything that we need to see come down isn't coming down fast enough, we're going to need to hold rates higher for longer. If he says anything of that nature, I would anticipate this market having a nice little sell-off from that. But we're going to kind of just remain cautious and hope that if we are in a trade and he does say something of note, that we're going to be able to catch a little bit of help from him instead of be on the other end of it. Right now, like I said, we are looking at this sort of 30-minute trend. This is the 1 minute. So, this is actually the 5. Sorry, so this is the 5 minute here. That's our little trend line that we got going on. Switch it down to the 1. Really didn't have any resistance running through 18,000. We came back right up into that 18,030 level that I was anticipating it come up into. I drew this up overnight before it even got there. It got right to it, wicked it, coming back down, and then blew right through it. Used it as support, and now we're pushing up again. I like to usually use the overnight highs and overnight lows as areas of importance, but we are opening pretty much at the overnight high, right? The pre-market high is the overnight high. So I'm going to be watching this level pretty intently, see what the opening range gives me. Like I said, we do have to 135, 115. Let's say 115. 115 and 3/4, and then up into 145, up in there for those previous swing high levels. And this is from that previous breakout point. From Friday. Hopefully everybody has a great day today. Like I said, be a little cautious with Jerome Powell speaking. Watch this support that came in all overnight from basically Friday. I mean, not Friday. From yesterday, once the rally started till now, we haven't really looked back at it. So this trend line's been holding up pretty nicely. We are in an uptrend. We are seeing some strength in the market leading up into this open and into the Fed man talking. I do have that 170, 150 level that came back into play, so we are going to watch that. You can see once again acted as resistance, big time support there, wick down, held right above it, and now rallying on. So 18,071.50 is going to be a key level for me to watch today. I'm going to put this on the charger. Give me a second. All right. So as far as that's concerned, that's the NASDAQ. We got the Mag 7 names. Apple pushing up above 171. And we are now open, so we are selling off immediately. 1 second, I don't want 1 second. I want 1 minute. There we go. So Apple's starting to sell off, pushed right through that pre-market low. Has support down here around that 170 area, so we're going to watch that 170, see if it flushes or if it's going to bounce. Nvidia also selling off. We did have that 850 level yesterday. That was pretty important. But apparently it's not loading. There we go. 863 down in. So we did gap up. It's a gap and go kind of situation. We gapped above the high. It's a gap and go kind of deal, but it's dumping right down into it and wicking that area. Microsoft giving you a little pop. That 406.18 level has been important, and it was important in that pre-market session. See if it comes back up into that area, or if it does just kind of hold down here below it. Anything where we're going to continue to get the weakness, we should see this rotate down. We obviously are seeing the NQs push to the high side right here on the open. The opening range is now complete. We have the opening range now here at 82 ticks. So just being cautious, being patient on this. Where's this level here? I'm going to go to this 15 minute here. You can see that was that breakdown point right there from yesterday. And then we have the swing high here. 145.25. It's a little higher than that actually. Here we go. That 113, right? We wicked right up into it. Didn't hold it. I mean, we're kind of trying to hold it here, but everything is just sitting right in the middle of this opening range. I want to let this opening range kind of give yourself a decision. Yesterday, we left the opening range at the dead high of the day and sold off from there pretty much immediately. I'm going to watch this trend line, see if it holds, if we do get down to it. If we do end up giving it a whole crack and a hold below, then maybe look to short it through it. If not, I mean, we open right at the overnight high. The overnight low is all the way down here. Overnight low is basically this right here. Do I have a... I don't think I have one. It's gone. Okay, it's gone. Sometimes I lose lines when I turn off my platform. This is that overnight low. Use it as a red support. And then I go here and I give it a little bit of thickness so I know it's an overnight level. Let's see if this is a wedge. If we can catch a little bit of like a sell right through that opening range low down into here, we can kind of chase our profit down just as a rejection of it. But you can see that the delta doesn't care for that idea. It's popping upside. It's trying to get through here. You're not seeing a big divergence in the delta compared to the price, right? So we're gonna see if we can get this to get down through here. I'm gonna call the overnight high right here, that 105. If we're gonna get into anything, it might have to be pre-Fed meeting. Jolts. If we hold below this opening range low, then there's a chance that we do get that sell-off, but I needed to hold below here and not just wick it. You see this a really strong selling candle. You know what? We're going to go one market here. We'll sell this down from there, take one shot at it. Going to trail it down some if it does hold this. I'm gonna break even on it. I don't know if I trust it to flush some. I'm gonna chase this one for the first trade of the day. See if we can get it to go rotate down to that trend line. There you go. There's a good flush down a little bit. So we're gonna secure just past break even. We're gonna let this thing kind of rotate down now. We are sitting in this thing. There was a high volume node there at 80. Probably get wicked out. Yeah, we got wicked out on that. I kind of figured that out. What? Oh, okay. Took 90 bucks off there. That'll do. I'll take that right there. We're up 90 on that first trade. Just a quick little flush through here. Didn't notice that the high volume node there at the very bottom. I probably have held it up here, but I kind of oversized a little bit on the risk, and I didn't want to take too much risk on it. And I'm going to just be mindful of this play there. So we took that first little short through that opening range. You could hold it down to that trend line if you're sized appropriately above this. 112 really shouldn't come back into play, or 113. There's a high volume node there, so I would tuck my stop in above this area here. But if that's the opening range play, if you're looking to play that. Otherwise, if it does come back up and through, then be careful of that long coming into play. We'll update the position board there to flat, but we're up 90 bucks. Up 90. We'll turn that green. We're going to start the day off right with a nice quick little win. Get ourselves back into a winning mentality here for the day. Okay, there we go. We're at the bottom here. That was really, really nice there. Be careful at this support level here. Bam. It was a really good call there at that high. I think there was not much holding that up there. Microsoft looking to rotate. Apple pushing down lower as well. Flushed 170, so we do have room to the downside on Apple below 170. But you watch it for a bounce also, because if that bounce is there, then you also have, we're at this support level here. NVIDIA reclaimed 877.05, which was that breakdown point. Right here, you can see NVIDIA holding this level, so watch this bounce at this trend line here. Let's see if we can catch this bid up here. I would like to just be cautious. If it does break this trend line and start to initiate the sell even further, then we're going to be really watching that 18,030 level as that first area right here. Obviously VWAP is pretty close, but that first real target down at 18,030 and a quarter, and then if you can flush that, I think you really have our breakout point from last night, which is 9. I mean, you obviously have 18,000, but 986, 987 ish. Things are getting a little heavy. Possibly looking to flush this trend line. I'm not going to play the crack right here, right now. 72 and a quarter. That's another wick off area, support area. So everything kind of lining up here, confluence wise. For if it does give you a break of this bottom, then it could continue downside even further up into the jolts and Fed Powell speaking. So just be mindful of that. But you do have this real this area here that is probably going to act as some resistance. This entire zone, really. Obviously, you can see it right there. You got that touch, support, and then we rallied off of it, kind of using that as support right here. If you do get up and through the highs, I would watch this delta and see if it plays along, if we do get anywhere up into that or not. That's a really nice hold of that level. So any sort of crack or flush of it should give you that good breakdown. Until then, it's just going to be a bounce. We are just stair-stepping up. Any sort of really, like I said, if this JOLTS report comes in and we've not made as many jobs as they anticipate, let's see, the JOLTS is anticipating nothing. 8.9 million. It was 9.26 million. I'd say anything in the 9s gets this market a little spooked until JPOW comes in and saves the day. But that's just until that point. Right now, that was a really good short idea there. We could have took it right to the bottom there without any heat. We just kind of got wicked out on a really nice push down to the bottom end of this really small area of liquidity there. And now we're rotating back above it. I did mention that 113 was that previous breakout area, 113 to 145. So really in this entire range here is where that previous swing high was. So if you make a new swing high from prior, right, we're going to go over to the 30-minute. That 30-minute will show you a little bit better. There's that 30-minute. We have that 113 level right there, which is that first wick. And then that's where that failure happened. And then the very high of that is that 140. High of that is 145 even. So 145. 145 flat. Yeah, that's the high of that. So I'll just throw a line on there just so you can see it. And then we'll go back to live. That's that 145 level right there. Pretty much this level here. You could see it. I mean, it only says 144.75 on my 1 minute chart, but it's the same area, right? This is a very strong area of support for now. We're gonna wait and see what kind of price action we get, but we are up 90 bucks on the day, so it's a good start to kick off our morning here. We're flat. We got no position on. We are being mindful of this opening range low. If it does hold, then watch the flush of this bottom here too, because like I said, if we leave this at the high, just like we did yesterday, we left the opening range. Doesn't want to go back further. I'll go back 3 days maybe. This is that opening range right here from yesterday. And we flushed it and we just dumped, right? 830 is right here. This opening range right there. And we're right inside of it today as well. Same area. You watch this. These trend lines have been working out, so I'm going to just keep adding them into here. I'm not playing that breakout, but I'm just watching if it's going to hold or not. See if it'll wedge within this little pattern here. See if you get a false breakout in either direction, and then take the true break in the other direction. If you do get a break and hold down there below 67, right? If you break down here and then hold below this area, I want to hold the lower end, lower half, I'd say, of this wedge, this liquidity zone here. If we hold that after we break down, then you can take a short through the bottom. Or if it's just like a strong, full-bodied candle, the breakdown of that next candle, just be careful with VWAP so close to making any sort of decisions at that area. Thank you to all the new viewers who come in and join us on a day like today. We are having a good day so far on that first entry. Hopefully somebody held it longer than I did. I just kind of didn't want to risk that full opening range for that to be a valid trade for me. I didn't want to risk that amount on this account. I probably should switch back to the micros, but I'm giving these very tight stop until I take any sort of little bit of a heat, and then I'm going to switch over to the micros. But I'm maximizing my first few. You can see Delta starting to tick up. We're breaking through this little area that I considered a trend line for now. But as it moves, as it breaks down, we'll adjust, see if it fails this breakout and then comes down, rotates down to the low, or if it's going to be Canada's inflation rate decision remain the same. So in case that mattered to anybody, your rates are remaining at 5%. 113. Holding. That trend line held beautifully on this spot right here. That bounce play was money. We're just trying to simplify things. Just using our levels, using our key points. You can see Delta trying to make new highs, which it did. New buyers coming in, trying to break this above that 113 level. But price isn't catching up. So if you get a wick of that and a wick of Delta, that potential fail to break through a key level with new buyers coming in here means that there was possibly a bigger seller kind of sitting there waiting to just kind of hold it here. If that seller breaks, then you get that big pop to the upside. If it does not break and this acts as a wall, you can look to see now this to act as the true breakdown area, right? Holding below. If we can get this to hold below, we could see if we can get a short come in. Nvidia is strong, but just curled down. Apple breaking through lows. Microsoft also kind of just dancing around down here. What's the risk on this? A little much. Little much for my liking right now. I just want to see what happens in this support area. I don't want to be taking anything that's going to get me whipped around when, as soon as JPOW says hi, and they just rip our face off in one direction or the other. All right, short squeeze espresso, all done. Day Trading Coffee Co. You can see it scrolling around on the bottom there. Apple breaking, Microsoft holding, Nvidia also pulling back. I would be mindful if Nvidia does get back to that 877.05. If it breaks that and starts to continue downside, then you will look to see this opening range and even into that close from yesterday. Pretty much closed right there yesterday and then peeled off. I guess some profit taking came in overnight, gapped right to that close on the pre-market, and now we're gapping and going. It feels like, because this was above that previous high, so I don't trust this to break down totally here. Microsoft trying its best to hold up, but not quite doing it. You have this little bit of, I'll call that, tight into the bodies of that wedge. If you break that to the upside, then the market probably continues to rally, because Apple, although it is one of the heavier weighted, it is a little disconnected from the NASDAQ as far as movement is concerned over the last few days. Apple has just been constantly beat down. We haven't caught a bounce at this 170 level. We did flush yesterday's low now already. I was considering this 170 level as the area of interest, or even what I just threw up, 169.82. That acted as the low support here, and we did break down from that also. So I'm going to be watching these other names, because Apple, just any reason to sell it off, they're doing it. And yesterday they reported 24% sale decrease in China, so that did not help their cause at all. Another reason to sell it off. Nvidia maybe looking to make a new high here, approaching the highs. I'm gonna put Microsoft on the other side. I don't really care what Apple does right now, because, like I said, it feels a little disconnected. I want to see if Microsoft will get up into that 406.18. It's on the other screen, but I have here, you can see that 406.18 level lingering. Nvidia, if it can break this high, I don't know where it goes. 900, 1,000. Nvidia is just, super strong. If it does come down into this 877 level, do we break our trend line this time at 1872.25? Looks like it's trying here, so I'm going to be mindful of this. Maybe take a flush of it, risk just to the high there of this. But I want to see it hold. Nah, I'm going to take the break. I'm going to take the break of it. We're short here. And we're break even. I need to see this break down through here. If it's going to bounce on me, I don't care. I'm out, break even. If it's going to bounce off VWAP, then so be it. That's really our usual target. But I want to give it a little bit of room for this thing to kind of give a little flush down to 30. If we can break that VWAP. If not, then we're going to be out for $50, $40. Bounce. Flush VWAP. How about that? We're short here from 18,068 is our short location. I have my stop at 66. Just basically covering my fees to see if this thing will rip off a VWAP, which it looks like it did. There we go. We're stopped out. Took off $40, so we're up 130 on the morning. Two quick little scalps. Just trying to get myself back into a good rhythm from the last few days of just kind of shit trading for myself. $130. We're up, not bad. Calling that breakdown of that level there. So now I'm going to be watching this to see if it'll hold. I want to see if it'll hold the lower end of this liquidity zone, or if it's going to bounce off of VWAP, be a false breakdown, and then rally up in, because you do have Nvidia and you have Microsoft, and, kind of considering if they're going to be selling off of this trend line or if they're going to pop through. So if it continues to sell side, then this will continue on breaking through VWAP. But I want to see my normal wait 5 minutes prior to a hourly close. I will not take any trades. So we're just about 8 minutes, 7 minutes now. We'd see this failure. We could have took the initial break and just took it right to VWAP, took quick scalp like that. I wanted to see if VWAP would crack. I don't mind giving back a little, just a little bit on that trade. You have a free trade. Why not let it see if it's going to run through, especially in a scalpy type day for myself. I haven't been taking enough profits of late, so I'm really trying my best to. I know there hasn't been a lot of follow through, but the time it does follow through, I want to be a part of it. We have 2 minutes till we can't take another trade. I think I'm going to just hold off until 9. I'm going to let this settle down. Even if it does flush right here, right now, I'm not really concerned about it. We're just going to stick to our plan of not really trading close to that hourly close. I want to see what this 30-minute candle does. If the 30-minute candle holds below this trend line here, the 30-minute, that'll be an hourly close below here. That's just going to confirm that this trend line does want to break. If you get a wick here and break above and you're holding above into, that 78, 80 level up in here, I would just be cautious on this breaking down fully. But if this does close down here, you could consider 830 as that first initial target and then beyond. So, like I said, VWAP's right here. I don't like the entry near it, down it, through it. I want to see, it could easily break it and go down like we thought, but I'm not trying to play that game right now with the VWAP. You can see Delta pretty much, I was talking about it up here, right? Probably could have took that short. What's up, Spy? Probably could have took that short because I did see that we were trying to make new highs in Delta, trying to break through price. I said that there was probably a big seller here. If you were listening, there was a big seller holding this back and at 113. I said if that seller holds, then we can get a good flush. If not, if it breaks, then you get a nice little pop. Obviously, you could see the seller held. You could have probably shorted right through the bottom of the opening range low, and then obviously now rotate down. My normal strategy, right, is that rotation at least to VWAP and then start trailing once you get down and through VWAP. So it's a nice little move there, about say 200 ticks from that high where I was talking about that possibly being a big seller sitting up there at 113, just based on the Delta attempting to push and make new highs, and we weren't even trying to come close to that new high there. We were approaching it, but we hit off on this resistance and then sold back down. Doesn't mean that the next time it gets there, it won't break through. No, that doesn't mean that at all. There's a better chance next time or the time after that it does want to break on through and go on up. We do have 5 minutes till that hourly close, so my rules are going to stay strict today, and we're not going to take a trade until this 30-minute hourly candle closes and we see what happens. Spy Proby, welcome in to the room. Hope you have a great day trading today. I know normally I'm off on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, but this Wednesday, today, I do have to go into work, cover a shift. So I'll be off normal time, 11 o'clock, no matter what. We have built up, since Deck went on vacation, to a good amount of viewers here. I'm going to look to start doing more and more giveaways as we grow the viewership base in here. Yesterday we gave away a free month of Tradecaster, so that was cool. I'm pretty happy with that. I want to just continuously be able to give back to the community and provide some value to everybody in here. So the more you come around, the more people you bring in, the more we can build the community around it and see what we can do. But like I said, next time I think I'm going to give away some coffee swag. I think the next giveaway might be, I might give away this mug here, one of these mugs, maybe a shirt, some coffee, who knows. Then eventually I want to start giving away money. trading accounts. If you go over to daytradingcoffeecode.com, use code policingpips, you get 15% off, and 10% of all orders, all profits, I should say, are going to go to funding underfunded traders, putting people into combines to start, and then eventually, as our company grows, we're going to look to partner with brokerages and do cash accounts and stuff like that. So it's going to be nice moving forward, I think, for sure. Hell yeah, man! I'm glad you're one of the originals in the room. So it's cool to have you around here and popping in and out. And I know it's not easy to kind of just be watching a stream all day, but it's also not easy to stream. So it's cool to have everybody around. 8:57. We have about 2 minutes and change left in this candle. Looks like this is trying to confirm down below that trend line and below VWAP. The caution is here. I would err on the side of caution on taking any sort of move right this second, unless you're already in from the highs and you've mitigated some of your losses or you've secured some of your profits on the way down. We have jolts in 2 minutes, which could pop this off to the high side, but also you have Jerome Powell starting his congressional testimony, and we do get some jawboning that causes a little bit of movement, especially in the algos. If he says anything about rate cuts coming in sooner rather than later, you can see this thing just take out these highs without even blinking, right? So I would just be cautious, wait to see what these numbers say. And then if JPOW says high the wrong way, then the markets, the algos will whip it around. Yeah, I'd say let's see what JPOW says. I don't know how. It really doesn't even matter, to be honest, to watch it or listen or anything, because you're not going to be able to react faster than the algos react to the news. They hear it. The algo listens to some sort of, I'm guessing some AI listening thing. And it just, as soon as it hears certain words, bang, on, off, buy orders, turn the buy program. I'm sure somebody's over there clicks a button, buy program, and every dip gets bought up. Or if it's bad news, every pop gets sold off. But like I said, that 30 level was that target, right? So we were looking at 30 coming in here. I mentioned right here at this high, I didn't take the short. It would have been a tight risk for me to try it, but I didn't. Pussied out on it. But right there, I was talking, there's the delta divergence, but in the opposite direction, right? You see delta trying to push up, price not making new highs. You're running into a big seller. There's the algo. Look at that. Whoa. Look at those spreads. Price is out of control. Whippiness. Jolts comes in at 8.863, which is worse, less openings. I don't know what is better or worse, more openings or less openings. Doesn't matter, right? Because price is doing that stuff, right? Trying to understand jolts a little bit. Jolts it's a weird one. And there's no reason for this to move, but 1830, there you go. That would have been a really nice move for you to take. About, you'd be sitting in about 300 ticks worth of profit. A nice little move. Algo's popping around. Let's see if Jerome Powell says high the wrong way or the right way, and then we'll maybe get a move on him talking, and we'll see what happens when he starts to actually get his testimony started. Let's see what some of these other names are doing. NVIDIA, like I said, that 877, watch that for a bounce area. Microsoft, flushing lows. Watch that 400 level. I'll check Apple anyway. Breaking down that 169 once again. We popped above it, breaking down from it again. That 30-minute candle closed, and you're confirming below, and 18,030 came right in at 9. So, if you took the short from the high, like I was mentioning, then you basically secured that, and you're floating well in the money here. So good on you if you took it. If you're flat, like I said, just because of this testimony and whatnot, I don't blame you either, right? There's no real reason to be forcing anything in. NVIDIA holding that 877.05. Bounce from it, bounce from it, bounce from it. Big bounce. Got to it here. If it flushes it, then you have overnight lows, which is at 863.74 level, which is yesterday's close, which could be a good target if it does flush. If this market continues downside, then just that's where you're at. I don't have a short entry yet. I want to maybe pop back up into here, hold the low, and then break back down. Yeah, it's Jolt is interesting. Like, not that I don't understand what it is, I just don't understand what the market would actually want out of seeing it, because it's, yeah, you're seeing a stronger job market with more openings because more jobs are created, but also you're seeing a stronger market if there's less jobs because maybe all the jobs are filled, right? So there's like, that's why the quits, I guess, makes a difference as well, because the quits shows how many people are leaving their jobs as opposed to staying. Job quits is 3.392 as opposed to 3.27. So it was a beat. So more people quit. There's a flush at 30. Really should have held on to that short there, huh? Womp womp. Still up on the day, $130. Could be just a touch more if we were a little bit more aggressive on our short there, but it's all right. Yeah, NFP is really the biggest driver of the week for sure. So we are getting good moves. There's good volatility in this market. The NQ, the ES, everything is moving pretty good. I did mention that the S&Ps was going to look to try and get to that area there at 123. It didn't quite hit off on 123 right here, but somebody front ran it. You got that wick off, and now you're rotating downside. Watch out for that 50.89.50 from, or even yesterday's high breakout overnight 92, and then obviously 100 is that psychological level here. We are breaking down. Here we go to the downside. This is the breakout point from last night, 988. 18,000 came in, got tagged, and flushed without a problem. So that trend line break confirmation was a beaut. If you would have just took that short without considering any sort of news events or anything like that, you're just looking to rotate overnight high to overnight low. Your overnight low here is 943. So watch this 18,000 level for a hold. That 17,988 could be a little bounce area. I'm still kind of just holding off. I don't know if JPOW started his little talk yet or not. Let's see if I can find it. Powell testimony live. Yahoo Finance. Well, at least it was a good call out. I hope somebody was able to at least understand what I was thinking about at the high here. I didn't take it, unfortunately for me, but we were talking about how we got a lower high here. We were trying to push into the level of 113, which was the first wick of that previous swing high and then sell-off point prior. Once we started seeing this kind of push up into here, you got Delta pushing up highs and just trying to break out to new highs, and just price just didn't play along. There was no follow-through whatsoever. And then you started to see Delta tick off and down. Once you started to see that play, I said there's a bigger seller here. There's somebody here trying to take this to the downside. So if you are, you could limit your risk to the upside here, take that short, at least down to the trend line and see where it goes. We ended up taking the break of the trend line and breaking even on it basically with that push down to view up and the bounce. Now you're seeing obviously that short just absolutely melting off. Would have been a beautiful trade to, just to hold on to from the high. The strategy works. Everything that I talked about here, it's good. I've just been kind of standoffish with my moves of late because I've just been not catching follow through, and so I didn't catch that move there. But now you could see, obviously, it's playing out pretty nicely. So, watch S&Ps down to 5089.50. If price gets there, then you could catch a bounce on the NQ as well. But Nvidia, like I said, flushed 877, does have down to 863, but that doesn't mean it will go there. It could just break right back above 877 and go. Microsoft melted off down through its lows. Microsoft lower high, and then just faded off. Once it broke that low there, it was not looking back. 400 flushed without a problem. So that's an interesting thing to see as well. Apple broke through the lows and now is trying to catch a bounce at the bottom. I don't know if we have anything pre-market. No, that was the low from yesterday. Low in the pre-market. And we're holding lower. Nvidia was really like a gap and go type situation, gap above the high. But it failed it pretty quickly, and now it's rotating back downside. It could close the gap up totally right here. If it does close that gap up, like I said, watch a bounce from there. If not, possibly just a flush. But you can see we're bouncing up now through 18,000. I don't see JPOW talking at all yet. I would like to see if we can catch a bit of that speech. Oh, shit. Throwing my phone around, sorry. Nvidia coming further downside. We probably just touched 18,000 there to kind of grab some liquidity and maybe trap some longs, trying to get long through 18,000 and just continue this downside trend. Until this breaks, I don't think we have anything. Yeah, I'll leave it there. You are trying to get Delta to be congruent here. So if you do make a new high, you want to see Delta push above the high of this previous bar there. I'm going to raise the volume a little bit on this Trader TV Live. I like to use them for news and stuff. If they start talking about JPOW, I want to hear it. Welcome everybody to the chat. Welcome everybody to the stream. I know Deck is away, so we have a bunch of new heads coming in here. I appreciate you all coming in. I was talking about, if you came in a little bit later or just now, I was mentioning this short right here. We did see our Delta divergence on the opposite, the way it sets up normally. We had a higher high and a push in Delta above highs, and price was not playing along here. We were talking pre-market about that 113 level being a pretty important spot from being a previous swing area high, and it's not actually a high. It's like the first wick of the previous swing high area. But we talked about that. There was a big seller. I said there's probably a big seller here. It's looking to say sit here. But we were approaching that 9 o'clock hour, and I was kind of a little bit more standoffish on if this was going to just continue to pump up based off of the numbers and whatnot for today. So I was a little bit hesitant, didn't get that entry there. But if you did take it, you really have no heat on it at all. I would have probably been considering trailing it to VWAP, which would have still yielded a decent return. We ended up taking the break of the trend line crack to the downside on the second time. We're still up a little bit. We're up 130 on the day, but obviously compared to the actual move that we could have seen based on this pure, lower high coming into a resistance area, being overextended in the pre-market hours, right? Opening on the high of the pre-market usually indicates to me that we want to rotate down to the low, and then opposite the other way, right? This red line is at overnight low. My usual strategy is to try and rotate high to low or low to high, depending on where we are when we open, if we tag that overnight high or low pretty early during the market session or not. So if you open up on that pre-market high, overnight high area, then there's really not anywhere for you to go but either rip higher or melt off, clean up that overnight inventory, and then see what kind of decision is going to be made. So I'm going to be very mindful of that 17,943 level. If we do approach it at any point, I want to see a delta divergence, and then that could be a good area for that return back for a true push to the upside. I'm going to get rid of this because it's not needed right now. We're going to watch 18,000. That's going to be very important. If this just continues to melt and melt and melt, so be it. That's just kind of where we're at. The breakdown point, this would have been my target, 968, area for the bottom end of this little breakout point. But obviously, like I said, that overnight low comes in at 943-ish. I have it at 941 on the micros, 943 here on the NQ. So any sort of like real push here, I want to see this kind of setup, but down here at that low, because I want to see this flush a low and then the delta stay up. Right now, delta's here, price is here. If you get any sort of tick down in delta, price probably continues downside a bit. So like I said, we did mention that short from the very, very, very top. Didn't catch the whole thing. Didn't catch any of that real move, but we took two really quick little shots at it, and we are up some on the day. Any break above 18,000 and a hold could get you that rotation to 18,030. Then be mindful of that 18,030 as VWAP's coming down. Probably will be in that zone at that time and could rotate you down further. I'm going to watch some of these other names like NVIDIA. If NVIDIA could reclaim 877, then be careful because it could just continue on upside. Microsoft as well, flushed lows, and it just was straight down through 400. I would watch 400. 18,030 is the, I'll show you here, previous support. I drew this up last night when I was looking at this as an entry on the overnight. Where are we at? Let me go to 15 minute so you can see further back. 18,030 is basically this area right in here. That's 18,059. 18,030 is this area here. From here to there, you can see it pretty much acting as resistance, and then that bounce area there, right? That's why I have 18,030 as that level, is because it's the very low end of this bounce point. It's really that zone there that I got. I didn't draw it up longer term, but you can see rejection, rejection, rejection. Tried to break through it, failed. Bull flag through it, support, support. We act as support, come back down through it. Now we flushed it hard, so it kind of just kind of invalidates it. But at the same time, coming up to it, it started to act as a resistance again, acted as support again, and now we're flushing it, and now we're coming right back into it. So let's see if it'll actually act as a good area or not. You can see it pushing up right into it now. You can see these. When these setups come in like that, I really like those lower high or higher lows, and then a push up into through a key level, because then you can get some volume pushing through that key level right at 18,000. You break through this trend line, you have that higher low, you do break through an area of interest, So that is a higher volume push up, and it also gives you that limited risk, to the downside of 70 some odd ticks. If you're going to just play the bottom end of the zone. But there's that 18,030 coming in, got tagged. I said if you do break through 18,000, it will probably come up into that 18,030, but I thought maybe a little bit not that quick. I would expect the VWAP to come down a bit, but right now we're kind of flat on the VWAP, so just kind of be careful with it. As soon as Mr. JPOW opens his mouth, which he just did, is what pretty much gave you that pop. Semi-annual monetary policy remains squarely focused on our dual mandate. I would like to hear him talk. Let's see if I could get him talking. Jerome Powell. As much as this is live, it's really not, right? Oh. I hope you saw that explanation on 18,030 there, Spy. Seems like JPOW is talking about numbers being okay right now for him. So let's see. I feel like any sort of hold here above 18,000 and then right up into this area, I'm going to have to wait and see if we can get any sort of setup moving forward. But I kind of feel like JPOW's starting to talk in circles a bit. He's saying everything is good, everything is strong. We want to get our numbers down, but also inflation has eased. It's above the target rate. Total personal consumption expenditures prices rose 2.4% over the 12 months ending in January. Excluding the volatile food and energy categories, core PCE prices rose 2.8%. A notable slowing from 2022 was widespread across both goods and services prices. Long-term inflation. Yeah, I mean it's all the same. I don't see him saying anything different, It's just what are the algos going to do with it, right? That's what it's really going to be when he's done. They're going to be like, okay, let's see. As soon as he says the word cut or hike or stagnant or something like that, those words are going to be the trigger words for the algos to start whipping it around. At its peak. at some point this year dialing back policy restraint, which sounds like he wants to pop this market higher. He just basically said we will cut rates some point this year. We're not ready to cut rates yet. He wants good employment. This thing is just wanting to get through at 8:30. Wants to get through it. If it pops through here, could run.
Should have noted this at the outset, but this is your 25th testimony before the U.S. Congress as Chair of the Federal Reserve, and we thank you for your service and your commitment to congressional oversight. Very much appreciated. I'll now recognize myself for 5 minutes for questions.
Question part. Let's see what happens on the questions. I'm going to let him stop talking a little bit before I... We're sitting up about 130 bucks on the morning. I'm not trying to force anything in while Jerome Powell's talking. Anything he says can and will be used against him in the court of law, in the court of the market law. So this is... a move could happen like that as soon as he says something off of a question or whatnot. So, and obviously my stream is probably a little bit delayed compared to whatever the algos are getting. So it's probably going to be an interesting. Just talks about nothing, and then the market moves.
We have some confidence in that. Inflation, headline inflation has moved down more than 3 full percentage points, now to 2.4%, as I mentioned in my remarks. We want to see a little bit more data so that we can become confident, so that we can take that step of beginning to reduce policy rates. It's a very important step. We think because of the strength in the economy, the strength in the labor market, the progress we've made, we can approach that step carefully and thoughtfully. And with greater confidence. And when we reach that confidence, the expectation is we will do so sometime this year. We can then begin dialing back the restriction protocols.
Sometime this year.
Well, let's pivot to regulatory policy. Chair Powell, as you know, there have been serious concerns expressed on both sides of the aisle and across America and across industries about the Basel III in-game proposal that Vice Chair Michael Barr has proposed and that the Fed is taking up. The concern is on both process, meaning how the proposed rule was developed, analyzed, or released for comment. The general concern of a lack of economic justification for these actions.
We flush 18,000 here. I want to see how much further it goes down, or if it's going to hold this little area here. I'd say 988 is pretty important. With him talking, like I said, he's getting asked questions. This kind of unscripted portion, as unscripted as you believe it is, could give you some really whippy action. You can see that the dome just speeding up, especially around that 18,000 level. I think coming up into that 18,030, like I mentioned, you were going to break 18,000, come into 18,030, test it, and probably sell off from there. If that was going to happen before Powell started talking, it happened while he was talking. So it popped up, got into 18,030, tested it once, twice, and failed back down into 18,000. So obviously these are really key areas to be watching, to be mindful of. You have to develop your own idea on what you want to do around these levels. If you're going to be a scalp, quick take profit kind of person where you're going to say, okay, I'm going to take it from 18,030 down to 18,000. Stick to that plan. Understand your levels, tight risk, tight reward, basically, right? And then just trail down as you see fit. If you think that this is going to be a bigger move because you grab some liquidity at 18,000, if you flush at 18,030, and if you flush 18,000, you see further downside into that maybe 17,943 overnight low. And if you're just going to go blinders and not watch or listen to what Powell is saying, and just kind of just ignore that rhetoric that's coming out that's moving this market in ways that really aren't natural, then you can go for that. But like, it's really, this is just your
Not at all. No, I think it's a very plausible option. It will depend on
the Basel III proposal. What is the Basel III proposal that he's talking
There's a lot
about?
of concern about the interplay between different parts of the rule, and if you just change one, what does the economic analysis?
Basel III proposal.
So it's good to hear that you'll be methodical and the Fed will do its traditional role of building consensus.
Basel III proposal.
And that is your intention.
that is what
Further increases in required capital known as the Basel III endgame to the dismay of big banks.
is right, and that we do it fast. We understand that. This is an important rulemaking, and it's going to have potential implications.
It just has to do with how much banks have to hold.
Right.
It's a set of measures developed by the Basel community in the years following the global financial crisis of 2007 and 2009. The measures rolled out over several years aimed to strengthen the regulation, supervision, and risk management of banks. Okay, so it just has to do with bank capital, risk capital. They're proposing apply a stiffest risk-based capital approach to more banks, those with 100 billion or more of assets, up from the current threshold of 700 billion. Does it sound correct? Probably 700. Some 37 large banks in the U.S. would be covered. They hold more than 3/4 of the bank's assets. Okay, requires banks to have more capital for risk purposes, posed by trading activities. Okay, understandable, makes sense. So he's talking about bank stuff with the Basel III, trying to give you some understanding of what these kind of testimonies bring about. So we're not just coming in here hammering trades and making decisions based on random price levels. There is something that goes behind a lot of all of this, right? So that's where I'm at with trying to show you this testimony. I know you probably can't hear it great, but if you do want to watch just his testimony and just to understand what he's talking about, I'm just kind of bringing up things that he's saying while he's saying it. That's kind of important that I hear. Obviously, you'll start to see this price do something irrational if you hear if something he says is out of the ordinary.
We're going to evaluate that merger as always under the factors laid out under the law, and that's
So you do believe that your bank merger procedures are ready to...
He's talking about bank merger procedures, nothing that's going to affect us per se, unless you're trading banks,
Are you supportive of...
or if banks are going to start regulating certain things as far as retail end trading, but I don't think it's going to have a lot to do with that. Looking at Microsoft looking to try and crack above 400 and hold. If it can do that and rotate higher, then you may get this market to continue upside. Apple just sitting below. Nvidia also recovered 877.
Well, we've seen steady increases year after year in home prices and rent costs, which are a symptom...
Going to talk about home prices. Let's see if he says anything worthwhile.
Indeed, more renters and homeowners are now spending more of their income than ever on housing costs. And as you know, housing costs continue to be a primary driver of inflation. Do you think the Fed has sufficiently emphasized the role that housing costs play in keeping us from your 2% inflation goal? Do you think it's reasonable to believe that monetary policy can accomplish this goal without a fiscal policy response? And if you do, how long will it take to get there?
That's a good question.
Housing services inflation is one of the three components that we look at that make up the core PCE index, and it has been coming down from its heights of a couple of years back. It's part of the story. I think the overall story is that goods price inflation has turned negative. Goods prices are actually coming down a bit.
Goods prices are
Housing
negative.
services inflation, you can see from what currently entered into leases that as leases turn over, the increases are going to be smaller. So in our forecast, and everyone's forecast, housing services inflation comes down.
It's been reported that the methodology used to assess housing costs as an indicator of inflation is imperfect. Namely because it considers costs based on both new and old rents, including for owner-occupied housing on a month-to-month basis. This results in sterile data since families' housing costs typically do not change unless they move or their lease is up for renewal. So to address these imperfections in the housing cost indicators, the Bureau of Labor Statistics and Cleveland Fed created an improved methodology based solely on new lease rents, which is referred to as new tenant repeat rent index. Has the Fed incorporated this new indicator into its economic assessment? If not, why not? If so, what changes has it had on the level of housing inflation observed by the Fed?
So we're well aware of that, and we do incorporate it into our thinking. As I was
Yeah,
starting to
this feed is a little bit behind because I see some other questions happening on other feeds quicker, but we're doing the best we can with it. I don't really, like I said, I'm not trading exactly what he's saying. I'm trading the market. I'm trading the price. The market doesn't really have an idea where I think it does want to go higher. There's just really not. I needed to break through 1830 for it to decide to push on up, right? But at the same time, we're right into VWAP. We do have Mr. Powell talking here. There is more than just this price action to be aware of, right? I don't know how long this hearing is going to last. We don't know how long his testimony is going to take. They're going to ask him questions all day. I don't know. But some of these things that he's saying are just basically the same shit he says all the time. We are watching data. Data is showing strength in the economy. We are coming closer to our targets. If we get close enough to our targets, we will consider cutting rates later on at some point during this year. But if we cut too early, it could be detrimental. And if we cut too late, it's going to be detrimental. So he really said nothing, right? Everything he said was nothing. It just covers his ass as the chair, Powell. So I think realistically, we need to just kind of watch what happens in here and be just adaptive. If you do find yourself at a price point where you do want to take a short or a long or something of that nature where price is confirming what your thought process is, I think you're safe to take it at this point. He didn't really say anything in his speech that's gonna that really rocked the market here. I don't think there's gonna be anything further as we move on that's gonna just completely rip us off. But once he stops talking, if he doesn't say anything that the market doesn't like, then that could give you a push in the positive direction, right? If there's nothing that he said that we want to cut rate, we want to raise hike rates at any point, I think there's a chance that this does. Once he stops talking is really when the market will maybe look to do something a little bit more convincing. I know it looks like we made a really nice move here. Like I said, I talked about this short from up here. We are up about 130 on the day. Solid little comeback from the last few days. I mean, we haven't made back what we lost, but we just getting ourselves back on the winning streak here, which is a good thing. We need to just take those small wins, start building ourselves back in. If you find yourself on a losing streak, take those wins. Winning days are winning days, and they start to build on themselves. You start to build that confidence again, and everything starts to kind of go back to where you will be, where you were and what what you're doing, right? Like, I talk about my levels, I talk about my strategy, I talk about ideas that I have on a day-to-day basis, and you kind of see everything that I'm talking about playing out. And sometimes I don't capitalize or maximize it, and talking to you guys and being on here. It really does help me just kind of get a better picture of what I want to do with my strategy and where I want to take everything. And I don't think any trader is perfect. I think everybody's always striving to do a little bit better, and I think that's what makes trading that. It's almost like golf, right? There's never like that perfect trade, never that perfect shot, never that perfect round. If you don't shoot, if you shoot 18 under par, you want to shoot 19, 20 under par with some birdies, with some eagles and some albatrosses, and there's no perfect rounds, and there's no perfect trades, and there's no perfect days, right? Every day you could have made one more extra dollar, you could have made thousands of extra dollars. If you're satisfied and you are understanding your process every day, and you grow and you build on the day before, then that's where this builds into some skill that you can have over the long term, and just enjoying the journey of it, right? The personal and mental growth, the angst that you feel, the self-doubt that you feel, a lot of all those things they're real. I mean, I feel like I admit that it happens to me. I think a lot of like some of these big influencer type traders or any of these guys who are doing it for they feel all these things that, on a day. Some days they go into tilt. It's just almost impossible to avoid. It's human nature, right? So the biggest thing to do is trying to avoid those days, avoid those tilts, and figure out a way to get yourself back on track. And learning your mental game and figuring out all that stuff is really going to help long term. And just going through that day-to-day grind, right? So that's what I'm here to do, to try and help for Jerome Powell. I think that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to get out there and move the markets so he can make some monies. Nancy Pelosi can make some more billions. Nvidia popping off. She's still going. If this pushes down into that 82, if it doesn't hold here and you get a little bounce, it could give you a really nice little move. Oh, insider trading is the best, isn't it? And it's only bad if you're not a congressperson or some sort of politician, because if we do it, then we get locked up and they throw away the key.
That's not also correct. And supply chains were disrupted. In fact, I can remember many Americans and people around the world could not get.
Let's see what this gentleman is saying.
Towels and some of the basics, and so the prices, because of the of supply and demand, skyrocketed, causing inflation not only in the United States but basically all over the world. Is that correct? And so therefore, the Fed had to do certain things because of what we were in at that particular time. We couldn't just go back and act like the pandemic wasn't there. We had to do something to try to make sure that we were able to get through the pandemic. Is that not correct? And now we're at that point where we're about to get through this pandemic. And we can look at the rest of the world, what they did or didn't do at that time, but what we did at that time. And as a result of that, 3 years post the pandemic, when you look around the world, I think that you were correct with what you stated. That by most accounts, our economy is doing well. In fact, I would say our economy is doing better than most of the other countries in the world. Would you say that's correct?
I would.
And so, I would say then that some of the other countries in the world maybe should have looked at the policies that we put in place thereafter so that they could get out of it, so that they could have a labor market that is strong, where the unemployment rate is near a 50-year low. And as you stated, inflation is also now coming down faster than any place else on the
I like this 30 level. I do, but I don't trust a short yet.
And I think that you also recognize a mismatch.
We are holding below VWAP. VWAP's a little flat for me to be, thinking that it's going to be any sort of indicator of direction. You can see everything is sort of flat. Everything, price is flattening out. VWAP is flattened out. There's no real direction currently in the market. Although you do see this starting to tick up, and we are at that 830 level. Our delta is pretty flat, right? No real huge peaks. It is pretty much congruent in our moves, right? New high. If we try to make a new high here and then this delta doesn't follow along, then maybe we start to consider if this next break of the trend line, maybe we push up one more time and break through. But if we break through now and you get a nice little break, that wouldn't be the end of the world
war Ukraine and
to see if this will flush.
in the Middle East, economic pressure
Just based on price action, not based on anything else.
go into the reason why
But it's just super flat, and there's not a ton of
their connection therein.
information right now. But you can see Nvidia trying to kind of hold that breakout from before. So I just want to be careful with Nvidia, Microsoft, Microsoft rolling back under 400. Apple just constantly looking to be beaten down.
For us to do everything that is in our power in Congress to support Ukraine.
Why?
And we can make sure that
No need to support Ukraine. How about we?
the commodities market, and that would help lower the cost of some of the commodities, bringing food prices down, and we would just be able to pass certain things that's going to help Ukraine right here in the United States Congress. Is that correct?
Here's where it gets outside of our jurisdiction, so I wouldn't have an opinion on Ukraine funding.
But if we had more grain that was going through, wasn't blocked by Russia, things of that nature, that generally just, say that helps bring the cost down. Cost is higher because of the
I don't think it has anything to do with it. I think we do plenty of grain production in the United States, sir.
have happened because of this war.
I think we just need to get rid of that.
That is not necessarily the policy just here in the United States, but that's the policy because of what's going on in Russia, and we need to make sure that we do something to prevent that if we really are serious about bringing inflation down. Is that not correct?
It is correct that a full supply of grain would help with commodity prices.
And so, instead of us playing politics with this and acting like it is your fault or anyone else's fault that we
I don't think anybody said it was his fault, but hey.
because of the unprecedented
That 30 level is acting really supportive, and this trend line's about to crack and break. Let's see if it's going to hold or not. If it holds here, you could see the flush down to that, like I said, 988, 989 level, and then potentially see a bounce from there. I really like a full clean of the overnight low, but I know sometimes that doesn't happen. We just have to be cautious. Like I said, while this guy is just talking and talking and talking and talking, there's always that one word that he could say that could just push this market in any direction that I don't really want to be involved with, to be honest with you. I'm trying my best to be more hands off. I mean, we do have NFP on Friday, so another reason prices may just kind of bounce around within these levels over the next few days because of just waiting for that direction of that non-farm. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't. Setups don't matter because you could get lucky, and if you get in the money, like I said, really the only thing I really wanted to be in was this here. It was early enough where I could have taken it. That short, I said that there was a large seller sitting there. That large seller didn't let this price get through that 113. If you would have been in the money here and mitigated with break even, you could, if that's your strategy of just letting this thing kind of sell off all the way through the rest of the day, then if you're in that position already, then you can say, okay, maybe I'll manage it based on price action. But as far as getting into something new with a new setup, it's just not plausible. There's just nothing that you can. I think that's something that I don't want to be involved in, right? That's just not good. It could work in your favor, totally, right? But it doesn't have to. So with him speaking, sitting on your hands is fine. You're not going to go wrong without taking a position. If you miss something, it's fine. There's no need to be hammering into things, waiting for this guy to say something that's a little bit, off from what the algos want to hear. Nvidia is ticking up. Price is ticking up, sitting below VWAP still. Like I said, VWAP's flat, price is flat, Delta's flat. You're not actually, for a Powell meeting, you're not getting a ton of big whippy candles, so it's all kind of congruent to what they want to hear. I do want to err on the side of caution for everybody who just keeps coming in or out of the chat. While he's speaking, Mr. Powell here, do not trust these moves that happen in the market, because at any second that he says something that the algos don't like, or as soon as he stops talking and the algos are done, or maybe they didn't kick on yet, it seems like they're not really moving us too much right now. It's just so it's so disconnected from real life, right? I can go on my little rant now because I'm not taking trades until this is all a little bit done. The more I trade, the more I see this market, the more I've been involved, since prior to COVID and then going into COVID. And, prior to COVID, I should have just shorted the market. I wasn't really I wasn't into stocks at that time. I started to get into it. I traded 2017. I started with Forex and started rolling into trading and stuff like that. And I was getting involved and trading mainly Forex and stuff like that. And then once COVID started, that's when I hopped into stock stuff. But should have kind of wished I was a little bit more into it beforehand. I was on and off working a lot more. Didn't have that hard focus on the trading game, but I was learning still. But watching through COVID, right, and into now, that V bottom recovery that we developed totally irrationally based on monetary and fiscal policy, it blew my mind, right? Like I was expecting much lower lows, and then to make brand new all-time highs every chance we get. And even coming in now with them saying inflation is coming down to targets and whatnot. Our inflation is ridiculous. Everybody knows it in real life. Everybody knows that everything is way more expensive. You could just go and you could Google it real quick. It says, I believe the average family is spending $600 more per month than they were a year ago in groceries. That's a ridiculous number, right? Monthly grocery bills going up by $600, average cost a month. I spend way too much money on just food alone. Then you go to the gas pumps. That's why they exclude food and energy from these inflationary measures, because they're just ridiculous. I think realistic inflation's in. I forgot I think it was Peter Schiff or somebody mentioned it earlier on. Inflation was closer to 20-something%, if not more. And nothing that the Fed was going to do was really going to cut that inflation. They should have been tightening rates, not easing rates and being at zero for that long period of time. They were giving money out, printing money. This market's fake, right? There's no real connection to actual real life. Every day people are pouring money into their 401k. Every day people are just buying and buying and buying, and there is just the market's kind of rigged to go up a bit in that. Where whenever it's going to go down, we have now we've seen that the Fed can just come in, pump money into the economy. Congress can just give away, things aren't really real, right? That $1 trillion debt that we're in, or multi-trillion-dollar debt, is not really owing it to other countries. It's owing it actually back to us. So there's just not real full connection to reality in the markets. So the more we can disconnect our personal beliefs and our actual visions of reality out there, the more we're going to be able to actually be, I don't know if the market can actually hold on to this, or does it just go, up and up and up and up and up and up forever? We held at 18,030. We're up above VWAP now, but we are creating this little bit of a channel here. I don't know if that's going to do much.
We're seeing a labor market that is still tight, still strong. Wages are moving up.
Labor market tight. Labor market strong.
Inflation has come down.
And inflation has come down. It has not that much.
Those are the conditions we see. They're very attractive conditions, and we're trying to use our policies to keep growth going and to keep that labor market strong, while also achieving further progress on inflation. That's our goal. And I think there's a possibility we can achieve all of that while keeping the labor market strong and the economy growing? Yes, I think there is a possibility. Indeed, that is what we're trying to achieve.
A soft landing can be difficult to identify.
Soft landing. They're always mentioning that soft landing. Yeah, the meetings are obviously all bullshit. Unfortunately, you just still can't trade it because it's just not possible, right? I mean, honestly, there's no reason the market should go up or down based on what he's saying because it's not really doing much of anything, but it will, and it like it's going up and down right now. Obviously, it's kind of driven a little bit by what's going on in that meeting. You got that JOLTS report. It's kind of what they wanted to see. If once he stops talking and everything points to we're going to cut rates at some point this year, we're doing well in our economy, this market's going to go irrationally higher again. Trying to profit off of that is what we're here to do. However, it's very difficult to get that disconnect, I find. The more I trade, the more I'm involved in economic numbers, the more I'm involved in just day-to-day life as an adult with a family and kids. It's so difficult to disconnect reality from the charts and trying to avoid wanting to sell everything. I've kind of gotten myself run over so many times on some of these where I'm not capitalizing on my shorts now because I'm just so disconnected to what is actually happening and what I can make happen, right? So I think that's the daily struggle of trying to figure out what's going to happen just purely based on chart movements, using that macroeconomic data to give you a better fundamental analysis of what's going to happen long term, but realistically understand that the market's rigged to go up. And everything that Jerome Powell does, everything that the Fed does, everything that Congress does, it's all planned. And who knows? They want to. I don't want to get too politics and draw anybody in or out, but usually they're trying to. Yeah, nothing is real. Yeah. Everything that they're doing now is to probably try and keep whoever is in office, right? They're able to manipulate markets a little bit better with who's in office now than who may come into office, right? They know what they can do to markets right now. They know they can do whatever they want with bills. They can do whatever they want with funding. They can kind of just manipulate markets with somebody who is a career politician as opposed to somebody else who they don't know, whether it be Trump or whether it be somebody else that gets elected or whatnot. They know that with Biden in office currently, they can do what they want with the policies because, like I said, career politician, either way, it doesn't matter whether you like them or not. The markets seem to like whatever they can do with creating new wars, funding other wars, keeping that military-industrial complex rolling, and then also at the same time manipulating whatever policy, talking to Powell and not influencing the Fed, but somehow the Fed always kind of does exactly what they want. If you do go into some of that, I listened to a podcast, the Chat with Traders podcast, and I forgot who they were talking to, but he's a fundamental kind of guy as well. And he was saying how, I'm not saying leaning one way or the other, but if you go into the donations, the Fed's chairs, many of them are very large donors to the Democrat Party. So, like I said, everything that they're doing now is to kind of keep this propped up in an election year. Normally, election years, end of February, March, you're getting bigger sell-offs in the market. We're not seeing that right now. We got a little bit of a sell-off come, from the 4th into the 5th, but now we're rallying back up. We're still in all-time high territory, right? We're not not at all-time highs. We're just slightly off the all-time high right now. So everything that they're doing, it's talking, it's pushing the current status quo, keep everything as is, and any sort of shakeup of that may cause that market now to do what it wants to do in reality, right? But until that reality becomes a reality, it's all going to be propped up on stuff.
We have, broad, significant, important responsibilities.
All right. Give me 2 minutes. It's 4 minutes to 10. We are up 1:30. JPOW is talking his head off, so we're not really making any executions. I'm going to go use the restroom. I'll be right back. I'm going to leave him up there so you can see him while I go here. I'll talk to him.
People who buy that, it's diminishing their long-term advantages to make progress. So you're just gonna leave that alone?
Really not appropriate for us to comment on, on, if I'm commenting on energy policy, I should comment on everything. We have a mandate which is maximum employment price stability. We take decisions by the legislature and by the administration as a given. We're not in charge of second guessing. It's just not our job.
Okay, well, all right, let's say we're not gonna second guess them, I will. I believe that the energy policies that this president and the Democratic Party have supported are causing a huge, boom in prices staying high. They will not come down.
We are back. All right.
Jobs that are foreign policy as it relates to contracts that we have signed with foreign countries.
Always talking about foreign policy this, foreign policy that. Jerome Powell has nothing to do with the monetary policy, like I don't the policies that are involved with that. Why ask him those questions? It doesn't matter.
Control those prices. It has a huge impact on, I think, your monetary report about how many houses get built, how many jobs get built, whether we have jobs in place, whether we continue to have more jobs available than workers that are there.
I just want him to stop talking.
Regulation.
I'm pretty sure these normally go for a while. They ask so many dumb questions.
On this panel, but also by the American people. It would be
Although the first couple were decent,
pass some sort of
but it's Waters, but usually not.
opinion, but you want them to see what the impact is. I want to thank you for being here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back my time.
Somebody goes back, the gentleman from Connecticut, Mr. Himes, recognized for 5 minutes.
Mr. Hahn, recognized for 5 minutes. All right.
Being with us today. I have a question, but I want to start by acknowledging, not celebrating, but acknowledging what has been a really remarkable soft landing in our economy. And I'm not celebrating because the American people, consumers, are still feeling the effects of high prices. Wages haven't caught up with prices in some instances. But I think that it would be fair to say that observers would never have predicted the conduct of this economy. You yourself said it in the final press conference of 2023 when you said a very high proportion of forecasters predicted very weak growth or a recession. Not only did that not happen, we actually had a very strong year. So I want to.
I don't. I have such a hard time believing anything that they say because like they're all like applauding themselves on how great of a job they did or this and that, and you don't see it. People are struggling, man. This is ridiculous. You know, I love to hear it all, and it's all forced. Just obviously, we botched COVID. They talk about how great we did in COVID. We botched fucking economic policy, but you know, we're here, and we're at all-time high levels of price action. So, you know, that's why Michael Berry was talking Big Short, Big Short, Big Short, Big Short. You tell me that interest rates being at all-time highs, really, and not all-time highs, but recent highs. Credit card interest rates are pushing 30-something plus %. Credit card companies are recording record debt on the credit cards and record default on credit cards. Banks are failing. They don't have enough funding. We just talked about that thing that they're talking about as far as that Basel 3 or whatever that proposal was. Any of those things, all of these larger macroeconomic pressures pushing down on the economy to a point where they're saying, okay, inflation's up, people are spending more. They have to spend more because prices are up, but there's no other reason behind it because the inflation's up on credit card debt that's being defaulted on. So if the credit's being defaulted on, personal credit's being defaulted on, debts are at all-time highs, inflation's at creeping down, but people are still spending the money on those things. Banks are having a tough time with funding and stuff like that. I don't see why any sort of and if any of these companies start to get hurt, right? Like Apple's sales were pushed down 24% in China. We're only just pushing down below 170. We're kind of lingering here at the bottom. They'll find some way to increase revenues, but at what cost? If they start to have a hard time making sales, start cutting more jobs. There's record job cuts in the tech industry, right? So job cuts, people are defaulting on credit cards, credit card debts at all-time highs. Apple's starting to decline in sales. Our food prices are booming. Gas prices are increasing. And yet, here we are, pushing up and up and up and up and up and up and up. So, detachment. I need to personally detach from the actual reality of life to the market life, and then understand that they are pushing an agenda. No matter what you think or what your personal beliefs are, there is something going on here that's either setting you up for the ultimate fail and dump, or it's just going to continue on for the rest of eternity. Let's go here. If you want to see it, this is what the market does. I'll remove everything here. Get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of this. We'll go to NQ1. This is a continuous contract, right? Daily. I'm going to take off all my drawings as well. We'll hide these. Here is your daily chart since 2022. All of 2022 you sold. Boom. All the way down to the bottoms here, 10,000. We've gone from the beginning of 2023, they turned the buy orders on, right? They turned the buy orders on in the bottom of 2023, the very beginning, and we went from 10,754 to 18,377 and 3/4. Look at that rise. I mean, this is the COVID low, right? Since the COVID low, this was the top end of COVID, and this is our economy was doing fantastic here at 10,000, right? We were doing really, really well economically prior to COVID. There were good jobs, good paying jobs. People were happy. Inflation wasn't super high. Everything was going really, really great here. If you detach yourself from it, you can see they just turned on the money printer, right? Money printer got turned on at the base here at 7,000 when we pulled all the way back down during that COVID dump, when we closed everybody, told everybody they can't go to work, all that jazz, right? We pulled back here, and we have bought up to all-time highs all the way up into the end of 21, right? All the way up into the end of 21, you have this huge money printer rally, right? We printed money, gave everybody free money. People just buying, stock market meme craze, everything went crazy. That kind of relief came in, and then now, this is rising rates, and then now we're saying, okay, we're stagnating. We're going to start cutting rates potentially. Let's hold this. Okay, back in. Money, spending money. Okay, we were both flagged for some time here in 2023, and then boom, we popped off again. Now we're at all-time highs once again. This market, all it does is go up. Could you imagine the NASDAQ in 2015, when I started my policing career in 2015, we were at 43.17. I started trading in 2017. If I would have just bought one contract of NASDAQ in 2017 at 4,800 and never sold it, where we would be, we went from 4,000 to 18,000. We're up 14,000 points. It's an unreasonably high, strong economy, and it's not that strong. How long do prices go up? I mean, obviously forever, right? Forever. Prices go up forever. So if that doesn't kind of influence your thought process on how the market works, record profits in every single business, everything, everywhere. These are obviously also, right? The NASDAQ 100 is the 100 best top performing tech heavy weighted stocks, right? So obviously it's going to kick out the shitty ones and then continue to rally these other ones. So The reason people use the S&P, it's a broader index, but it's all the same information, right? It's just a little bit different. There's the COVID high, COVID low, breakout. Not as drastic, but it's the 500 best performing stocks, right? So that's where you're getting that push up higher. They kick out. That's why these are going to be also, pushing up into those highs. So that's what my rant for the day. I'm done with it. Back to actually trading.
That's our reading. I think we do a lot of work. We waited a long time to change it. We did change it. We do quite a bit of work to. One of the things is assessment, and we'll review the comments in the data that we get.
One of the things I hope that you consider is the fact that even though it's supposed to be $10 billion and up, stuff all rolls downhill, and as the last study showed, the smaller banks, the community banks are also trading prices. So make sure you consider that when you start talking at the end about this. I appreciate that. One of the things yesterday I had two different foreign banker CEOs in my office, and they brought this up to me, which is very concerning with regard to artificial intelligence being able to impact financial institutions in this country and our banking system.
So we got right back into that opening range low. Into that opening range low here. We wicked it, came back in. There was that big seller that was involved right here above that 113 level, 113, 114. I'm going to pull up that surface, see if it actually gives us any information.
We've got a problem today. Now, that individual didn't do this. It's artificially produced. I've seen it commercial already with the individual. You couldn't tell the difference between the individual and the real thing. We have just come through the Silicon Valley situation. And if you have real-time payments, head down, or you can instantaneously
At 18,100,
by some well-known individual,
which is the base of that value area low, you got a decent size. I mean, you're only seeing like 45, 50 on there. Nothing huge as far as orders are concerned, but up above at 104,
I think we're
there's somebody that's flashing bigger size, 50s.
many government agencies and law enforcement agencies in particular. It's very
45 at 100.
lots of big
Very interesting. See, this is where I get annoyed because I do know that he's talking, and I know that this could just continue to rally up, and they could get into arguments and whatever happens. But you want to see at the same area where we sold off from before, if you get that same sort of delta divergence that we got prior. What we are seeing is new highs in delta. We trying to make new highs here. We got new highs in delta on that first push up. We did not make a new high in price, right? So still a lower high in price, still a lower high, higher high in delta, just a tick, but it's still a higher high. We need to see what will happen with the delta here, see if that plays out, even without regard to JPOW talking, right? So I want to see what happens in this area right here, right? The overnight high is that opening range, basically. So overnight high, it's basically pre-market highs is right there, right where we're at right now. So we didn't get the full rotation down into the overnight low, so we have failed that as the play for the full rotation. However, I mean, you did get pretty close. It's never really an exact science on that with the overnight lows and highs, especially if you have some like liquidity like this, right? If you're seeing it, let's see right there. This is the session I'm talking about, pretty much from here to there. This was really just a tick below. There was some liquidity here in this area, which we did basically tick off on. Everything here might have been just cleaning up whatever happened pre-market, at the close, and then now this was just, the real area that was interesting for markets was right where we ticked off on. So we're just kind of bouncing from that area. You got that low, that higher low, continued to move up higher from there. You did get the delta divergence, I believe. Yeah, well, it was kind of congruent, right? You never really made a new low, but also delta never pushed closer to lows like this did, right? You got this low here. Then as price tried to push down a little bit, you just got a flat delta, then a breakout of the top here, breakout of the top here, and then really has not looked back since. I mentioned the break of 18,000, pushing us up into 18,030, and 30 being a key area of resistance, which it was once, twice, 3 times pretty much if you count that little wick above. Once we confirmed and held above 30, we have rallied pretty much ever since. Delta is pretty much acting the same as price here. So if we do get a breakout in price, I would anticipate a breakout in Delta. If you don't get that, then you may get that rotation to the bottom end of this this little trend line here. I'll give that. This one was just here, but it's actually doing a pretty good job of being respected. This 30-minute trend line here, to me, is not necessary to be here.
That's precisely what the Congressional Budget Office does, not what we do.
Right, but the other question that you might address is, did you consider the CBO's assessment?
There's a good chance that today we end at 11 without making another trade. Pretty content being up 130 on the day on those trades. It's just trying to get back into developing the good habits of getting on a good streak, building back from the losses on the week. We've had a decent drawdown on those couple of days of just kind of choppy bullshit for myself. My ideas were good, my executions were poor, so today I'm just looking to maybe get one more good execution on something if we can get up into those levels. S&Ps did respect that 5,123.50. If you look over here, you can see it respecting that level there. It's been that swing high there. So if it does fail that level and hold below here, then there is a chance that the NQs also follow along. But if it holds and if it breaks and holds above, then you can see this thing start to rally, probably up into the base of this, which is 138 3/4. That's kind of an interesting area for me to be considering. So I will watch those levels. But then obviously you have like levels in between 130. Yeah, those are the areas I would be looking at. I'll watch that 123.50 level as a rejection point. You can see right now we are rejecting. Once again, Delta tried to make new highs. Price did not make new highs. Same as what we had over here, just on a smaller scale. You could probably rotate this down to maybe down to that point below and just need JPOW to shut up.
And also in hiring, work hard to have diverse.
Thank you.
From Michigan, Mr. Heising is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Chairman Powell, good to see you in person. Mr. Chairman, I've got to make a comment here. It's stunning to me that equating underground economy, which is very different than and not a healthy alternative to the regular economy, and basing that on a legal workforce that's not legally able to work, ultimately will fail. That is not a strategy to my colleagues on the other side. So just ask any farmer who's going to then have somebody, a regulator, come in and fine them for employing people who are not legally allowed to be here in the country. That is one of their greatest fears. So that's just a fallacy of growth within this economy that is not sustainable. Chair Powell, last fall I sent Vice Chairman Barr a letter expressing my concern over the cumulative impact pending rulemakings governing projects.
Yeah, I don't have anything that I want to really see set up. I'm just kind of being cautious. You got to push down, push back up. We're right at markets having done nothing for the whole day, right? You got a good move downside, you got a good move upside. So there was ability to make money, but you had to be patient. You had to be completely ignoring Jerome Powell and his testimony and all that stuff. Really just kind of we didn't go anywhere, right? We have gone nowhere. This is the opening range, and we're right back into the opening range. NVIDIA broke above this little wedge. Now it's holding. If Apple breaks above 169, 170, then you look to see if that will hold or not. Just kind of, you did break above there, but I think more so we're in that area there where that 170 level is going to obviously be a key point. If we do rotate downside, then that's where it's going to go.
You coordinate, do you talk?
So I don't lead that area of our business, but I know there's a lot of talking.
Let's see if Microsoft is doing anything of interest. Rallied completely back above 400. There you go. This break of the trend line held this 400 and rallied. So if you're an equities trader, these levels are working out really nicely. Everything's playing out pretty good. The buy machine is on. Nvidia, Microsoft, let's see, Amazon. Amazon's buying up. Nvidia, obviously we have it over there on that side, but this is a shorter time frame than 1 minute. Starting to bull flag a little bit. Apple on the 1 minute, still trying to push back up. Meta,
I've heard repeatedly that elements of Basel III
Google,
federal
Basel 3,
defense
and Google pushing downside as well. So let's just watch Microsoft and Nvidia. These have really been my two guys that have been helping my Nvidia trade. I mean my NQ trades.
Points of view about Basel III, and part of that may be the interaction with stress tests. So I haven't got anything for you on that.
Like I said, today I got to go back. I'm covering a shift at work, so I will be
I do want to
getting off at 11.
last year.
I don't have any
Banks that ultimately needed
Uh,
bailout lacked sufficient.
any ability to stay past 11 today, but you can see the S&Ps are pushing above that 512350 level. So I do sort of anticipate possibly seeing this continue to the upside if that holds. If that starts to reject, I think our rejection here does take place, but you can see Delta trying its best to make like a little bit of a base pattern here and push up, but price is just not playing along. Right at the base here at 100, there has to be a seller here just getting involved. Deck checking in from Utah, coming in hot. I think if you do break this, then the rally is on. The high of day break would be above 127. If you cheat on it and you play the break of 111, 113 because the seller disappeared, you have some upside to go. You have obviously a lot of room, but if you're looking for reasonable targets, 145 and 162. Right here is 145. Like if you're taking the break here, 145, above that 162, and then 190 to 200 ish.
We are not.
But if these names start to get rallies going and pushing up into that area of and then like I said, Nvidia has forever to go, so it's been propping us up as well.
Carefully, large institutions who are already doing it, by the way, the things that we're doing, they're doing this because to remain active internationally, they have to be doing it. So we started with them because they understand it. Imposing it on smaller banks, not something I'm for.
Gentlemen's time has expired.
We'll be following up on the Taylor rules.
The gentle lady from Michigan is recognized for 5 minutes. Ms. Lee.
Thank you so much, Chairman. Thank you, Chair Powell, for being here. Do you agree with the April Federal Reserve report?
Look at that Delta pop. Delta's popping. You can maybe cheat this on the front end and see if it'll run. If not, it's going to fail and rotate downside. But you can see Delta trying to push. There's a seller here that's not letting the price through this 100 level.
I would say it's at best a tertiary factor, but it probably had some.
If it does eventually break through here, then maybe goes.
Okay, so it did. Okay. So do you agree the appropriate rules on incentive compensation could have reduced the likelihood of Silicon Valley's failure? Maybe? If they didn't take all
I
that
really
money.
don't think so.
They didn't take all that money.
I don't think it's a first order question for Silicon Valley. A lot went wrong there.
Yeah.
Incentive comp would be.
They actually blame you
down.
guys.
Sorry.
They blame the oversight, even though they didn't respond to your
It's part of it.
correspondences.
We took our medicine.
Yeah. Do you think it also has something?
There's a
to do with
breakdown. You
that
could see that Delta tried to break above, price didn't break above. You could see that potentially this wants to rotate down. So you got Nvidia trying to crack now down below this little
You don't think these people make money off of the failure?
wedge.
I think
You
nothing.
don't think money drove them to do what they did?
I didn't say that. What I said, there are lots
So
of.
they made money from it. They actually, it was a lottery for them,
Nothing
right?
that incentive compensation arrangements were at the heart of the Silicon Valley Bank failure.
Okay. Do you support a robust rulemaking for executive compensation, Chairman?
I know that the.
Oh, section 956?
Section 956 is the law. As I understand it, the agencies are looking at doing something. It's been 12 or 13 years, right?
Yeah, multiple
Nothing's
agencies.
happened.
Yeah.
It's been hard to get it done. I lived through the last episodes of trying
Yeah.
to get it done.
So do you believe in a robust
I
rulemaking process for executive compensation?
We do, yeah.
Oh, great. Oh, that's awesome. Will you commit to helping find?
That would have been a setup for me right there. I believe that the lack of follow through on a push above that would probably want to rotate us downside some. In spite of JPOW talking, it may still continue. I think that we got back up to this opening range low.
Say no.
If the member will allow the witness to answer the question.
This lady is just badgering him.
Gentleman's trying to answer the question.
There's that breakdown. The failure of that delta pushing higher, price not getting through. There was somebody here trying to sell, trying to hold this up. I believe that we could get that breakdown to happen. If you are somebody who is not caring about Jerome Powell talking and kind of creating market conditions to react a little bit inorganically, you could have shorted that once you saw this big push up and the lack of follow through on the price. Really what this tells you is there's a ton of buyers trying to hit the bid, and there's a seller here saying, thank you, I'll take it. And then now that the buyer is gone, we can now continue the sell side pressure. So that's what I'm looking at there. We'll see if that plays out or if it's going to fail and rotate higher some more.
Significant amount of money with their bank failure. Last question, Chair Powell. Do you believe that the impacts of climate change pose a risk?
The impacts of climate change have nothing to do with monetary policy.
I strongly believe that climate change is real and poses risks over the longer term, sure.
So there have been some that say, higher interest rates actually makes it more difficult to build out the renewable energy projects and other investments required to prevent climate impacts. Do you believe that to be true?
It's not I believe that we need to do our job that you've assigned us, which is maximum employment and price stability, and we do it through interest rates. And it's not our job.
I don't see any big sitting orders anywhere, so potentially the seller at 100 might be gone,
Last question, Chair Powell. Who do you see?
or he got filled in his orders and now he's just ready to go.
In terms of income groups?
There's like a smaller bit of size here at 80s,
So,
50 and 60 orders, but really nothing. You can see price isn't really like that excited right now to be bouncing around. Price trading's all about timing. It's all about figuring out your maximizing your gain as opposed to limiting your downside, and that's it. Timing your trade to a point where you can limit your downside risk and take full advantage of a price movement in the opposite direction of wherever you're risking. So we are out here looking to see if we can do something like that. We have another about 30 minutes or so left on the stream. I'm up sitting about 130 in profit. We're just looking to go one day at a time, grow the accounts, just get better than we were the day before, right? Especially on the stream. I'm new in the streaming game as far as that's concerned. Like on a day-to-day basis, every single day I try to be here, I try to be helpful, I try to be useful, but also at the same time trying to manage a trading account and not just hammer buttons just for hammering buttons' sake, to try and show that this is possible. That's not where I'm at in this. I don't want to be. The reason I started streaming is because I felt like I was getting to a point where I was in a better place with my trading and my mentality and my strategies, and it's repeatable and all that. But once you start streaming, you start to introduce another layer to it. So kind of take a step back to take a step forward, and I'm cool with that. I think talking through everything helps me out as much as it helps you guys out. So like I said, I just want to be as useful as possible for everybody else, and then also at the same time be able to grow what I'm doing and like teaching. I'm basically teaching myself while teaching you, So it's really cool to have people in here that come in every day, comment, communicate. We are slowly but surely building a little bit of community in here, and I'm very, very excited to see the future of this stream and see where it takes us. the more I could do it full time, like, if I become a full blown member, of one of those that you see, like Deck, like AK, like Mamba, like those guys. If I could get into that kind of realm, then you'll see way more content out of me. You'll say, I'll be able to dedicate even more longer days to it. If you want to stay on, if I want to stay on longer, if you need me to stay on for any sort of releases or anything like that, I'll be more available once that time comes. But for now, like I said, we're just trying to be on here every single day, provide as much value as possible from 8:30 till 11. And the only way we can continue to increase that is to increase our viewership and try and develop a really good relationship with everybody. If you can share this room with one other person, if you like it, if you like the channel, subscribe to it, hit that little 5-star button there, and then also if you're on YouTube, head over to Tradecaster. I know it says you're paid. You can access me free for 7 days, and then after the 7 days is up, I'll still be free for the time being. You come over there. The only thing you won't be able to access once that expires is the videos and the paid rooms like Deck and AK and Mamba and those guys. But for the time being, like I said, I'll be free for now. You'll get a ton of value out of it. If you find the value useful, get yourself a membership, $175 a month. Obviously, as you buy longer term subscriptions, you will get discounts in that pricing point. So check it out. I'm sure that you can come in here. If you would have taken this trade that I called out earlier and you were a champion and held it per single contract, we would have been able to catch 500 plus ticks on that move, and that's $2,700 per contract. So that could pay for your lifetime membership right there, if you understand what I'm saying to you and talking through certain things, certain levels. The levels work, the setups work. Yes, I mean, I execute on all of them, but that's just on me. I'm here to provide value as far as giving you the information and letting you make your own decisions, right? I'm not a signal service. I will call out the levels. I'll call out what I'm thinking at those levels. And then whatever you decide to execute as opposed to what I decide to execute. If you faded me the last few days, you'd be in good shape. Today you'd be down 100 and something bucks, but or more if you decide to hold that into yourself. But overall, really, really good. Really, really happy with trying to hold these viewers up over that 25 mark. And then if we can get it up to 50 by the end of the week, I'll give away some Day Trading Coffee Co. Either I'll give away some beans, a mug. I'll give away a nice little care package for somebody, probably like $100 value worth of stuff I'll give away. I think that'll be a fair value for 50 viewers on a 1 day this week. So that'd be really cool. The more we get interaction, the more we can get more people involved in the giveaways, the more fun it'll be for people. S&P's is pushing up that 51.2350. Just closed the 30-minute candle up above there. We closed this 30-minute candle right at the bottom of this opening range here. So that short still sort of valid here.
From New York, Ms. Velasquez is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Right here.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you for being here, Chairman Powell.
JPOW still talking.
Insurance rates are becoming prohibitively.
Still talking. Oh, hell yeah. I'm going to have to head over there. Check it out. Which one you got? Are you doing a midday education class or anything today?
And I recently raised this issue.
Or just a midday recap, lunch hour recap?
The Fed monitors
I'll have to come check it out when you're over there.
insurance and its impact on macroeconomic.
Hopefully fits nice, looks good. I'm pretty excited about the company. I want to do some giveaways with everybody here and anybody who does join in. Like I said, if I get the viewers up to 50 1 day this week, I'll give away a nice little care package, just like I gave to AK. Share to his viewers what we have to offer. I'm wearing one of these shirts as well. This is the coffee with cream, baby. Cool little design we had going on there. Coffee with cream. A little Wu-Tang reference there. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. It's all good in the Wu.
We're trying to do electronic voting, and
I think JPOW talking his testimony really not helping anything out here. I think our short idea is coming into play. It is setting up pretty nice there. So let's just watch that, see if it'll come in and follow through. I did say if you wanted to take that short on that delta push to the high side and the lack of follow through there, you probably do get some sort of sell off coming in from here. So if you were risking above, let's say that 111, you're risking about 10 points, 60 ticks or so, and the breakdown now actually kind of coming into play. If you get down into VWAP, you're up about 192 ticks. So it's a pretty good risk to reward there just to the VWAP. And then if it does flush VWAP and go further down through, then potentially you get a much bigger reward there, obviously. But obviously, like I said, that 18,000 level, you are starting to see that VWAP starting to curl to the upside. So I do believe that any sort of follow through to the downside might not play out as far or as deep as the previous one, unless Jerome does mention something that spooks the markets or whatnot. But S&P is also, you can see S&P's over here trying to break down that 123.50 level, but as of right now, it's sitting right on it and holding it. So, I mean, we do have a little bit of confluence, 30-minute NQs, pushed up into that opening range and now failing it, like you can see, down to that 72 level right where we're at right now. But you can see beautiful move there, kind of coming down. I expect the VWAP, now we're starting to move. I expect that VWAP to get a little bit of a tag. Be cautious on it. It is, like I said, it's flat now, flattening out, possibly looking to curl to the upside. If you do get that big push down, mind 18,030, and then from there you got it, you know, wherever it wants to go. 18,030, that's that really money target from the highs. 2 times now that has set up and worked out absolutely perfectly, at least for your entry. You would take 0 heat on it. You would have got your entry in basically right here, next candle down there. Then once you actually, time correct, if you were going to be patient and wait for this to actually crack this little, downtrend here and hold, you would still have never have taken any heat on this, right? You're still up already quickly about 100 ticks on that. So 100 ticks gives you a pretty good move there. It's $5 a tick. So you do you, boo-boo. There you go. Nice little push down into that VWAP area, coming in hot.
So yes, we are very much aware.
Another day, another dollar that I didn't take because Mr. JPOW talking his shit. I decided to not go ahead and take my entry when I had it. But there's your setup. Talking it out, giving you guys the opportunity to take it if you don't care about what this man is saying. I just am I've been burnt before. I'm not trying to get burnt again. We are sitting up. We're trying to just make good decisions on the day, get ourselves back into that winning mindset, that winning streak, up 130 on the morning. Nothing huge. We did take 2 good moves that really could have played out even better. We just kind of got stopped a little bit quicker than we would have liked to. Honestly, would have liked to have taken this short from the high once I saw that seller was there, stopping the momentum in its tracks. And then once again right here, you saw it. This is a very key little zone there. So it held this, it held it. You got that big wick on the delta and no follow through on price. And then you get that push down. So maybe if you get a re-entry above there, it could be a good one, but this also could be a good area for a buy off the bottom of that, right? You can see the bottom here, VWAP. We're still above VWAP, so buys do like to play out a little bit better than the sell follow through, right? But my targets are normally, if I'm fading an extreme, it's usually from the extreme to the VWAP for that first target and then beyond. If it does want to follow through, but this does not seem like it wants to follow through very much on this move. 10:36. I've drank way too much coffee and way too much water. Give me 2 minutes. Once again, I'm going to take a quick timeout.
So just more, we'd like to see more good, relatively low inflation readings. We're not looking for better inflation readings than we've had. We're just looking for more of them. And what will happen is that as we go forward, 12-month inflation will continue to drop because it'll be lower than early last year.
Thank you.
Chairman, I would like to pick up on where Mr. Lee left off and reiterate the importance of the rulemaking on section 926.
Pop.
This is an issue that I also raised with Vice Chair Barr.
Does it hold this or does it not? You do have a deep retracement, a deep pullback in VWAP, Delta, and then a push back up in the Delta, but not quite getting to that area where we wanted to confirm that there's more new buyers coming in at that area. So I just want to be mindful of it because it could just tick up really fast. And the S&P's holding above 123.50 adds that layer of this is getting stronger possibly.
There's a lot going on in regulation of the Fed right now. My understanding on 956 is that there have been discussions between the regulatory agencies, and I think it's not three, I think it's about 6 agencies that have to agree. I have not seen a proposal. I think something is under consideration, but it's not something.
This circle here had a size of 5, 6, nothing huge. Buy orders here 7, 8, 9.
So Lee, it's back. Someone from Kentucky, Mr. Barr is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, good to see you. You have said numerous
69,
times that the capital framework is about right.
70, 69, 70. Some size here at that 100, 102 level. 64 at 100. It kind of flashes in and out. It hasn't stayed there completely. I want to see what happens if price kind of speeds up at these areas, if it kind of gets up there or not. Now we're getting delta divergence in the opposite direction, right? You're not getting delta to follow through. Less people are convinced that the break is going to happen. But if you do get a good break above here and a hold, you might see the delta start to pop in, pour in, buyers come into the market. Basel III.
Came from across the ideological spectrum and from various interests. Without objection, I would ask the chair to include that report into the record. Without objection, I'd ask the chair to include that report.
Without objection.
Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, did you see that report?
I did.
Does that concern you that 97% of the comments were negative?
So we didn't do our own count, so I can't make an assessment, but I would say it's unlike anything I've seen.
The Basel III comment period ended on the same day as the Fed's data.
You're starting to see it push. Delta trying to act in confluence. Voice is not working. Delta trying to act in confluence with price. Price trying to get up over that area there. 100 level is obviously a key psychological level. It's a flat 18,100 obviously. We have a pretty big 30-minute tail on this candle here,
The movie's not over.
right? You can see it push down, pop back up. There's 30 minutes here on our 30-minute over here. You can see we're pushing right up into that resistance area, still leaving that opening range high at the high. But if you could crack above that, I think there is room to the upside. We are giving like this knock on the door. It's just knocking on the door. It wants to get there. You did see this. Buyers want to get involved here, but we've just continuously kind of beaten it down from there. If you would have taken this trade initially and secured your profits, you'd be in good shape. Obviously, that was a pretty nice move. You got that move down there about, like I said, about 130 something ticks. This one was the ultimate, obviously 500 plus ticks on that guy right there. So we are watching this intently, see what these guys are doing. Nvidia knocking on the door, Microsoft knocking on the door of the high. Nvidia not so much. Nvidia kind of pushing downside, so kind of a little bit of opposites here. Apple trying to bounce off this little wedge pattern, but if it does break down through here, we are still holding below 170. There's really no, once you get up to 170, fail. I don't really like this wedge that I drew up here, whatever, it doesn't matter. But this is another failure of the downside. Nvidia trying to rotate lower. Microsoft giving you a sell idea as well. I would look.
But that's a process that we're
close.
And I am
Yeah,
confident.
I mean, like I said, I'm not trying to force anything in. Really want the setups to come to me. Really make me have to take a trade. That's really what I want. I don't have to take the trade. I'm up small on the day, 130, but it is a green day as opposed to the last few days, which were red days. We're trying to. I know it's not a big enough green day to kind of cover those losses, but at least we're taking that step in the right direction. So
Potentially, yeah.
we're going there. We're taking our time. You see Delta trying to clip up now. You see it pushing up, pushing up, pushing up. Price not playing. Price isn't playing with that. Price ain't playing. Microsoft, Apple. Apple trying to bounce from the low.
Eliminating the use of internal risk models and transitioning the industry and regulators toward only a standardized framework actually would push the industry.
There's the break above. Finally got that good Delta push. Price breaking above. Let's see if that 100 level disappears.
Actually increase systemic risk and decrease market competition. Do you share that concern?
S&P breaks that high, then we can look to see if this high a day break comes into play.
There's my thinking certainly about the proposal of markets.
Well, given all of these concerns, we hope that you can commit to reproposing the Basel III endgame, and we strongly urge you to take that into consideration. With that, Mr. Chairman,
Gentleman from Massachusetts, Mr. Lynch is recognized for 5 minutes.
Oh, 5.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Welcome. Good to see you again. I want to go a little deeper into the commercial real estate issue and potential.
I know it's a kind of slow day, really. Like I said, we haven't really gone very much of anywhere. We opened pretty much right where we are at right now. Now we're trying to sell off from it. This is just kind of the day that we're having. We sold off initially. Obviously, that was a great call out right there. I didn't maximize my gain on it, but I did call it out, mentioned it to the room, so everybody had the opportunity to take it in spite of my standoffishness with the kind of the rate of the numbers that came out today, plus some of the Mag 7 names. But realistically, like I said, there was that opportunity, and then the opportunity at the bottom, if you wanted to grind out along, was also there as well with that divergence on the Delta end. Price making that higher low and giving you that good setup around the 18,000 level. Right now, I want to see kind of where this price goes, but it's flattened out, right? You see it's just completely flattened out. You don't really have any sort of follow through in either direction. You sell off from that 100, you bounce off of that 72, selling off from that 100 now again. Could that be a little sweep action? Maybe trying to get us to push lower one more time down to that 70 level once again, and then bid us up from 70. You know, it's really kind of just a wait and see. There's really no direction. And I do believe, realistically, until they stop talking, this is the kind of price action that we're going to get. We're going to get slow grinds up and down. The algos gave you that first little bit of a move, like right in the beginning of him talking, but then after that, everything's pretty much been, the buy order is on, and also at the same time, it's just sitting here flat over the last, hour or so. Yeah, I know that we had this push up from the lows, but really it's been kind of more of a grind. Now we're flat. So we're flattened out, sort of a base. If you go to a little bit higher of a time frame, go 5 minute on the time frame here. You got that push down initially, you bid right back up, you're right where we started the day, and now we have flattened out, giving you almost the idea that if we do accept above here that we would rotate completely higher. We were talking about, we went on our little rant there about how the market is irrational and it does whatever it wants and it's kind of programmed to buy. So until that goes away, then we're kind of stuck here in this little bit of a range, and then also at the I think we're stuck in this all-time high, all-time high. I think that's we're kind of stuck in that for a long time. So now we're trying to push that 100 again.
The very large banks, it's really a manageable thing at the large banks. So I think that's what it's going to be, and it's a serious problem, and more serious in some locations and jurisdictions and with some banks than others. But it's one we'll be working through, and I think that's how I would think about it.
Does
trying to force my hand on a breakout.
Silicon Valley Bank
It's
situation,
trying.
Signature, you know, the money moves so
It's trying, but also at the same time, like I said, it's flat. It's flat price action. There's not tons of follow through on this
money moving out of those banks really
attempt to break through this level, and that usually leads me to want to short. But at the same time, we've been getting run over on our levels, so that's why I was standoffish, right? So just right now, kind of watching, sitting on our hands. I think that's it for the day. For the most part, I'm just gonna hang around, see what happens with this price action, give it a watch. You know, we're gonna end the day up. Small green day, we'll take it, build on it tomorrow. Every day, just do a little bit better than the day before, and we'll get to where we want to be. Once again, I got to do some adjustments, do some business meeting stuff, quick in between going from here, going to work. So trying to manage my time properly as well. I think you guys are in good hands. Wherever you end up, have this screen up for now. Let's see how long we can get this to go. I think JPOW is going to be testifying forever.
What I'd like to see is us get back to Ukraine, to be honest with you. I know that's a very simplistic idea, but I'm just wondering if there's any historic example.
Why do we keep bringing up Ukraine?
If Congress has to take the necessary steps to redirect that money to Ukraine so they can feed their people and fight that war.
This whole area of sanctions and foreign assets and things like that is really controlled and directed by the administration, by the elected branch of government. All we are is just a technical seat around, in the back row to help. We don't make those decisions. I wouldn't comment.
He's a great talker.
If there's any examples out there,
Great talker.
might provide guidance to us.
He's very good at
Gentleman from Texas.
deflecting questions and answering correctly. A slip up in his verbiage is going to be very unlikely, and I think that's not going to give you much of anything onto like which direction we go.
Concerns are not only coming from my banking industry, but also from farmers, ranchers, small business owners who are concerned about how this proposal will impact the ability to access capital in the future. And
I just think once he stops talking, that's when the programs will turn back on.
we're about to 97% today.
Nikki Haley to end presidential run, Foot Locker stock dives, Abercrombie and Fitch beats.
Americans across all sectors
Alrighty.
about disastrous implications of the follow this proposal. And have tried to
That lack of follow through. Like I said, that short gets me interested, but also at the same time, like the strength in the S&P is holding above 5123, and Mr. Powell, money printer, if he just stops talking at any second, there's a chance it just ends up just pumping or something.
Can you elaborate on how the Federal Reserve is responding to and addressing
I'll
the
listen,
comments
but-
that are mostly negative and request modification, delay, or complete withdrawal of the proposal if possible?
So we're in the process of reviewing the comments. They were quite voluminous. They were very detailed, a lot of data, a lot of analysis, and that's just what we wanted. So we got those, and now it's a lot. It's hundreds of them, and we're going through them, and we're just at the point where we're about to begin then turning to the question of what
10 minutes remaining in the stream, 10 minutes left in the day. Like I said, I'm pretty content with where we're at as far as trades are concerned. There was a few setups here that I was considering. I was considering this short here, and then also just the lack of follow through on this, but now it's starting to strengthen, so maybe that long comes in, the high day break comes, and you just get that push to the high side. So we'll see what happens with that.
I want to bring up the long-term debt proposal.
There's that break. I was considering that break, like I said, as the high of the day break, but like I said, that's not really part of the strategy right now. High day break will be
This is meant to protect
at 126.50.
for families and businesses in my district who have options to meet their lending needs. So the Fed's long-term debt proposal.
If you do play high day break, that first target's 45, next is 62, and then beyond that, you do have up until that 195 to 200 level.
These regional banks will
If you're, like I said, high day is not until up here at 26.50. So be cautious on that. But you can see huge delta push to the high side there. That was a really big push in delta and not a big push in price. So there's not a lot of follow through in any of these moves right now. So just be careful You know, if you're going to get some follow through, you're going to hope to see the next delta candle push up, break you above this 111, break you up all the way up. If not, a failure of this,
reflect their size
hopefully you can rotate it to the downside.
and that's something we'll be considering as we move forward with this.
Wait for the hourly close, give yourself a second, and go from there. Like I said, I appreciate all the new viewers coming in. Anybody who has been here all day or all, the last few days, I appreciate you guys coming in, stopping by, making some conversation, learning a little bit from what I do as far as with news, with data events, with being a little bit risk averse on some of these moves. I didn't want to take big losses today on a day where I've been back-to-back losing days. We're taking a small winning day here today. One small win and then one pretty much break even. Two small wins, right? But one break even. I would consider them both sort of break even, but netted us about 140, 130 on the trades. We did pretty well as far as just staying out of the market, doing ourselves a favor, and not getting chopped up in some of this. Overall, like every day, I'm trying to provide a little bit more value, a little bit of difference than what you'd see maybe somewhere else. We are going through what Powell is saying, kind of what you're seeing as far as markets are concerned, and according to what he's talking about. He's not really saying anything. He's not going to ever really say anything. He's very good at speaking. He's never going to give you that huge bit of information that's going to move the needle in any direction. He's going to give you those flat statements. He's going to give you markets are strong. We needed to get down a little bit. We have to cut rates, but we don't want to do it too soon or too late. Like there's just, yes, we're going to try and ease later in the year, potentially, maybe, or maybe not. All of that is just talking in circles, making sure that Congress is aware of what they're doing. And then all these questions that they're asking are either ground ball questions or questions that he's just not going to answer with any sort of surprise, right? So any sort of surprise would give this market some reason to pop or fade. And once he's done talking, then that's like, all right, we're not going to get anything new. Then the market's going to try and move. So if you are going to be on here later than when I'm done streaming, just be mindful when he does stop his testimony. Watch what the market does. Watch the speed of price. Watch where price ends up. If you do think that you're going to get a breakout and continue the rally from the overnight, which is a possibility, like I said, just make sure you're aware of that 145 to 162 level, and then up into that 200. If you do get continued pressure to the upside, it could continue on and on and on and on and on.
From the 1980s, and there's a lot of arguments that your target should be just a little bit higher. Larry Summers.
There's a push. That's a good little break above that overnight opening range high. We did crack high of day, I believe. There made new high. Yep, we made a new high of the day. So if you do play high of day breakouts, you have made a new high of the day. So that is your. That's your candle right there. If you do hold it, I guess that's the question, if that's what you're going to be looking for. Like I said, a breakout here goes up to 145, up to 162, and then watch that 195 to 200 level. That's going to be your high of day break idea as far as it targets. I don't have that many data. I have it on the 30-minute here. You can see those are the targets there above 145, 162.75, and up into that 200, 195 to 200 area, which is up there. And then I don't really think there's that much legs in this, but if there is, just watch it. Even if I wanted to take a trade now, I can't. My rules say that 5 minutes to an hourly close, I will not execute. So we're going to wait and see what happens at 11. Like I said, do have work today. Normally I don't on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, but this week I'm covering a shift, so I will be off at 11 on the nose today. Well, maybe a couple of seconds or minutes afterwards, but just watch what happens at that hourly close. Also, be mindful when JPOW is done with his testimony, when everything is all said and done, and the algos are done listening, and he's got nothing left to say. Just watch what price does. See if it speeds up, see if it ends up, continuing to the upside, or if it's going to sell off. He does need to come back tomorrow as well, I believe. So It is an all. I'm pretty sure it's an all day type thing. So just
We lose economic growth.
watch. He's testifying 2 days in a row. I don't think it's going to really be.
Bankruptcies.
It's all the same questions that they could be asking over and over and over again. He doesn't really have anything to say
You've got a system where everybody drafting this
much.
is well-dressed and focused on Wall Street, and you've got Basel rules that discriminate against Main Street.
You fail a high of the day breakout, then hopefully you can return yourself down. The VWAP, if you do play failures like I play fail breakout plays, that's just, I find that breakouts don't follow through for me, and I can usually scalp out some of the failure move and some of the liquidity grabs that they're looking to get. If you do get a failed breakout, look for that to flush below 107. I'd say down below this breakout point at 111, down through 100. Point of control is 100, so be mindful of that as well. All of this is kind of, it lines up for price to want to return here and potentially either bounce or flush. So this is going to be a very important level for you to watch. It's where that seller kind of gave up, finally gave up. He was coming in. You did take that short when I was talking about that before based on that delta divergence, but now you got the confluence, right? You got the push in delta, price kind of following through, and now you're getting that push up. So that's where we're at as far as the market's concerned. I did make a few call outs, like I said. If you are interested in this stream and you're over on YouTube, come on over to Tradecaster, watch, sign up, get your 7-day free trial, and then, like I said, I'll be free for the time being. Like my little stream there, give it some stars, subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on Tradecaster, share it with a family member or a friend. As we grow, we're going to give away more and more stuff. We're going to give away, like I said, I think the next giveaway is going to be about $100 worth of Day Trading Coffee Co. coffee and swag. So if you're here and we have 50 viewers, we'll do a little giveaway like we did yesterday for that free month of Tradecaster. Yesterday we had Trademaster who got the giveaway. So that's pretty cool. We got that giveaway yesterday. I know Abby was here yesterday. She was involved in the giveaway. A newcomer to the room. We had a lot of really good, a mix of people from new to original viewers. So like I said, high day break paying for you right now a little bit. You're just in the money a couple ticks, but it's holding. So you're not in any sort of trouble yet on the failure. I do like failed breakouts, but right now it seems like it's kind of just sitting here. We have 20 seconds or so left in the stream, left in anything. If anybody has questions, comments, concerns, let me know. I will try and answer your questions quickly as possible before I get out of here. Overall, like I said, good day, up 140. I'm saying $130. I did make a nice little trade overnight that I didn't mention because I don't think it counts because we're not in the stream. I was up about 300 on that, so we're up all right on the day. Another reason why I'm not forcing in another unnecessarily placed trade, that's going to get me into some trouble to give back any sort of gains when I don't have a setup that's going to be working for me, right? So overall, like I said, the best setups I had was right here. We had that delta divergence and the price making new lower highs. Got that full flush. Didn't quite capitalize on it. Didn't take it. And then also here we talked about how that same kind of setup played out in a, this was a bigger pullback, so you get a bigger move. This was a little bit more shallow, so possibly, a little bit measured in that movement. And I also said be cautious. Being above VWAP and that 72 to 60-ish level was going to be important. So with the flat VWAP, almost it was curling up at the time. I think there was a chance that this was going to fail and going to continue on, but you did get the move that we were anticipating, at least to take a base hit on it. I didn't take it because of the Powell testimony, but overall, great trading day. I appreciate everybody. Thank you for coming by. Once again, tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Central Time, I'll be here. Once I drop my son off to school, I'll be right on at the stream as soon as I can. I try to get on anywhere between 8:15 and 8:30, just depending on how late I get him out the door and into school and back to my computer screen. I do all my analysis. Abby, I appreciate you stopping by back-to-back days. Like I said, I'm trying to be here to just kind of provide some value. Even if I don't take a trade for pretty much the entire day, I took that one early and then the second one. And then once Powell started talking, that was it for me. Just really trying to get back on track. We have Powell talking again tomorrow. Due to kind of his testimony today and the way prices moved and react, I think we're going to get similar price action tomorrow to while he's talking. We don't get any sort of jolts. I don't think tomorrow. Nothing. We have non-farm productivity. Imports, exports at 7:30. Initial jobless claims at 7:30. So that stuff will happen prior to him talking. So overall, I appreciate everybody stopping by. Thanks again to the new ones. Come by, share it with your friends, your family. I am, like I said, peace out, Spy Proby. I appreciate you. If we get this stream up to 50 viewers sometime soon, I'm going to do a day trading coffee co giveaway, probably about $100 value worth of swag and coffee for those who enjoy to dabble. So if you want to try anything, go over to daytradingcoffeeco.com. It's scrolling across the bottom. It's also in the I'll share it right quick so you have it, and then you can use my my code policing pips, and you get yourself 15% off. You know, a little bit of benefit for coming in the room and hanging out. So until tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Central Time. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.